Cleland, Brian Wilson, Mary Catherine Ham, today's newsmakers, and you, the Morning Majority. 105.9 FM. And AM 630.
WMAL. 7:37 on a Tuesday morning. The Morning Majority is a minority today. I am here, but Brian Wilson and Brian Neiman are off in California and Florida. So they're chilling.
Are you allowed to give out that information?
Yeah, it's not. We're all.
There's no privacy.
We're all open books here. Yes,
right.
I'm giving out their personal information. Jimmy Pethokoukis is here with me from the American Enterprise Institute, keeping me company this morning. And we've got Scott Cleland on the line. He is the author of a book called Search and Destroy: Why You Can't Trust Google Inc. Good morning, Scott.
Thank you for having me, Mary Catherine and Jim.
Hey, I want to talk to you about, as any user of Google products knows, if they've been paying any attention for the last month or so, I would say, every time you sign into anything, you get a little notification. Hey, our privacy policies have changed. This stuff is important, and you can click to read about it. What is the change that they're making, and should we be concerned about it?
Well, you should be very concerned. Well, now, one good thing Google's doing is that it's telling you what it's doing. But
right.
What they're doing is not something that's good for users. And that's why there are 36 attorney generals that are strongly objecting. The FTC chairman called it a brutal choice. Why did he say it was a brutal choice? Because Google's a search monopoly, and they're basically giving their users a take-it-or-leave-it option, which says, we are going to consolidate 60 individual privacy policies, like for Gmail, for YouTube, for search, and all the different ones, and put it all into one. Now they're saying, oh, that's going to give you convenience. But one of the problems with Google is it always tells you the great things it does, and it does many great things, but it leaves out the problems of how this might not be good for you. And think about it. It's putting all of your digital dossier, all your private information, all your eggs in one basket.
So if I use Gmail and I search on Google and I watch YouTubes, they have all that information in one place about the kind of searching person I am.
And everything you've done in the past. Now, the problem with that is you may not know that the government can access that without a warrant.
You, really?
Yes. There's basically the laws have not been updated. You think they have to get a warrant to get your phone messages. Well, if it goes through the internet and whatever, it goes through Google, they can get all of it. It can also be gotten by hackers or by foreign intelligence or by a rogue Google employee. All of those things have happened. And so the problem here is that Google is saying one thing and doing another. They're saying, look, this is going to be good for you, and they're consolidating it for their purposes. There's nothing wrong with doing advertising. Right. But the problem is they're putting all your eggs in one basket, making you less vulnerable.
Right. Well, all right. So that's really the problem. I mean, Google, they already have this information, but so the problem is not that they have it, or necessarily even that they're consolidating it, is that by consolidating it, therefore it makes it other people, whether it's the government or hackers, to get a hold of that information?
Yes, and also they're not providing an opt-out. It's a take it or leave it. And they always preach, they work for the user, they want to give choice, they want to be, and they want consumer to be in control of their private information. This is a very big case, where they're not providing any choice, any opt-out. And that's a big problem. That's why the Attorney Generals, why the FTC and others are saying, look, people should be in control of their own private information. And here, Google's just dictating, saying take it or leave it. If you don't like our new privacy policy, leave Google.
And as you know, but you can't leave it, right? You can just go use you can use Bing, and you can go back to Yahoo Mail or use Alta Vista. I mean, you can leave.
It's very, very difficult in the sense if somebody has multiple services that they use, there isn't a lot of choice. There's no other entity that has all those places and
right.
all those things in one place. So conceivably, someone could leave all of those, but it's very, very, very difficult. If you go to their privacy dashboard, which I did yesterday, it's very confusing and very difficult, and it doesn't allow you to do the things that they say it will.
Now, there is something floating around on the internet, and I'll ask you about it because you're the expert in this, that says there is some way that you can keep them from caching your browsing history from here on out. So if the change takes place March 1st, they say that there's a setting place where you actually can change it to keep yourself out of it. Does that do you any good? Does it give you a sort of a mitigated form of this?
Not really, because what they say is that they then won't use it for their services, but they don't say that they won't keep it.
So they may have access to it, and you just won't get the tailored bridesmaid dress ads that perhaps someone might get. I don't know, not me.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's not a true opt-out. It's perhaps a partial opt-out. Otherwise, you're going to have to jump to Yahoo Mail and stop using Google Docs.
Correct. Think of Google as a huge vacuum cleaner and a pack rat. They have more information on you they know more about you than your parents know, or anybody knows. I mean, they literally know what you read, what you watch, what you intend to do. They track everything. And that's a real problem, because in a free country, you need privacy. If you don't have privacy, you don't have safety, you don't have security, you don't have your own identity.
Do they have information from my browsing and such dating backwards as well? Have they been collecting it connected to my
Yes, and
user identity?
They can track it if you use search, and if you don't use search through DoubleClick, they know when you visited all the sites around the world. So they can track you whether you want them to or not.
Now, what about the 36 state AGs who have sent this letter to Google CEO complaining about this? Is there anything that can be done to say, hey, maybe we should make this a little bit more opt-out,
What's the remedy
give people
here?
some options?
Well, a good remedy would just be do what Google normally says is consumers have choice. Well, they need a choice. Can they opt out? And that would solve a lot of this. Because, if people want to sell their privacy, if they want to exploit their privacy, it's a free country. They should be able to do that. However, they should also be able to protect the privacy of themselves, their family, and their children. And they can't do this under the Google policy.
Now, Google says you can go to dataliberation.org and sort of, if you want to make the move, if you want to get out, you can move your information out. I'm sure it's not super easy, but there are some ways to do that if you want to opt out of this before they start caching you on March 1st.
Right, and it's unclear when you pull your information out whether they keep a copy or not. And that's the concern, is they're pack rats, and they keep this, and they because they want to keep it for all their other services. So it's they have been broken into by the Chinese, and the Chinese cyber hackers stole their entire password system. That was in the front page of the Washington Post. It was also covered in the front page of the New York Times. So we know that Google is not secure. I wrote a piece just a couple weeks ago that said Google's top 35 privacy scandals. The World Privacy International ranked them worst in the world in 2007, and since then they've had another 24 scandals.
All right. Well, Scott Cleland, author of Search and Destroy, Why You Can't Trust Google Inc., thank you for letting us know about the new Google privacy stuff. I love Google products, and that's a good reason to be aware of what's going on. You get the benefits, but you also want to know about the downsides.